Hey guys, it's Carleigh. Welcome back to Mostly Dating, a First Rounds on Media production. First Rounds on Me is a dating app that's designed to get you off your phone and on a date in real life. Head to the link in our show notes to learn more and get your first month free with the code Mostly Dating. Today, we're welcoming back a return guest for her third time on the podcast. I'm here with Kelley Knight. She is a spiritual development teacher, founder and CEO of Modern Mystic Shop, and co-author of Spells for the Modern Mystic. So Kelley is an OG guest here. She was on I think you were on episode 19 of Mostly Balanced before we shifted into Mostly Dating. And that first episode, for anybody who's new here, which I'm sure there are a lot of people here who weren't here for episode 19. We're now past 200. So anyone who's new, I would go back to episode 19. I'm going to link it in the show notes. That episode title is Kelley Knight on Intuition, Tarot, and Spells for the Modern Mystic. And we really get into it. We hear all about your background and how you sort of like tapped into your intuition and all about Spells for the Modern Mystic. And then you came back in 2023, April 2023 to be exact. And that episode is called How to Manifest Your Dream Partner. So that was when we had started shifting into really focusing on dating. And that's a really popular episode still to this day. So if you guys are listening and you haven't listened to that yet, definitely go back and listen to it. Today, we're going to be bringing all of you guys into the conversation. So we're going to be doing some tarot card readings for zodiac signs to tell everybody a little bit of a prediction into your love life for 2025. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But before we do, welcome, Kelley. I always like to have guests start by telling a little bit about themselves. So can you tell everybody where you're from, where you live now, and then a little bit more about just what you do?
Yeah. So currently I'm living in Atlanta, Georgia. I've recently relocated here. I was living in New York. Maybe the last time we spoke, I was living in New York. And I'm really happy actually to be back in Atlanta. I moved back here with my partner. What were your other questions? Where am I from? And then what else?
Yeah, and just a little more about what you do.
Yeah. So, in addition to authoring that book and running Modern Mystic Shop, one of my favorite things to do is tarot readings. So, I do a limited number of readings every week so that I can help work with mostly women, um, you know, with their personal development, with love, career, and any areas that they want to have growth. And so, my sort of tarot mentality is kind of blending the mystical element of tarot, but with a lot of the practical kind of coaching spirit so that my clients have next steps and a lot of clarity leading. And that's become, it has always been just like a through line in my life of where I get a lot of fulfillment. So I'm super stoked to be doing these mini readings for your listeners. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. And on both of the past episodes you came on, at that point, I was co hosting with Mia, and you gave both of us like mini readings on there, and they were great. Like what you said is so true. I love the way you kind of like you use the cards to really give guidance. And it's not like, for people who might be listening and maybe aren't as into this type of thing, like you're not like predicting my future and telling me this is going to happen on this date. It's more like, here's what the cards say, here's what you can take from it. And it's like giving you that spiritual guidance of how you can approach your life in a way that will bring the outcome that you want, which is really cool. I love that.
Yeah, so I call it actually forecasting more than prediction. So if you think of it sort of like the weather, it's like I talk to my clients at the top of with every new client to say, I'm giving you the most likely outcome based
Mhm.
on the momentum and the decisions and the life you've lived to date. So if everything just kept on rolling right along, here's what's likely going to happen. And what's cool about that is if the outcome you're like, whoa, that's not what I was hoping for, then we can always backtrack and say, okay, what are some steps you need to take? How can you pivot? Like, what can we do to switch the momentum? Because I've done over 10,000 readings and I
Wow.
have learned through that experience that the future isn't really fixed or
Mm.
locked in. And so we work together on actively building and co-creating your future. And so as you're listening to these forecasts, for, your specific zodiac sign, it's just probability. It's like what's likely going to happen. And I'll try to approach it from a way where you can, if it's something that would be considered like negative or not your best outcome, then how to steer it into a positive or what steps you can make to make it really work for you.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think that I do know a lot of people, and myself included in the past, sometimes when I would go into a tarot card reading or something similar, and maybe you see a certain card come up or you hear something and it just like you can't see past like the actual card or the words, and like you
Yeah.
kind of like get nervous. You're like, "Oh, what if I find out something bad?" But it's not about like a prediction, it's more about like how you can use that information.
Yeah, and all the scariest cards, really what comes out on the other side is so worth whatever discomfort that's temporary. And there are certain just human experiences that we're all going to go through. You can't just avoid hardship in general. And usually the hardship comes when you haven't been like more proactively letting
Mm.
go of things, making changes. And so the universe is like, I'm gonna just help you out by blowing this up for a second, and
Yeah.
then, like, let's resettle because you're gonna be more aligned and more authentic on the other side.
Yeah, that's so true. I was just talking to my boyfriend about that the other day. I feel like there'll be these little tiny pushes of like you should do this, you
Mhm.
should do that, and then if you're really not listening, it's like, okay, we're just going to throw this at you and like that's going to force you to make some changes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, so before we do get into it because I know I'm going to get this question a lot.
Okay.
Are you taking people right now? You can people set up readings with you?
Well, yeah, so it looks on my website like I'm not because I'm booked through April at the moment.
Wow.
I do encourage you to get on the just to book if you're interested, just to book, even if it's far into the future. Every single time, like people sometimes wait like up to a year to see me. They're like, I just booked it because I felt called and I didn't know what we would talk about. And like, this is the most perfect timing. It always works out the best.
Mm.
Like, or they'll book it with a certain something in mind and then life events happen. So don't be nervous or shy if the wait is long. It's always perfect timing. Like I said, it's one of my favorite things to do. So I would hope to, especially people that are listening to podcasts like this that are trying
Mhm.
to improve their relationships and their love life. Those are I love those sort of proactive clients, and so they're the best.
Yeah, it's kind of cool if someone booked it now and they have it to look forward to in like May or something. And then, like you said, you
Yeah,
never know what's going to be going on at that point.
totally. Or for your birthday, or just like certain times of year. But it's really great. It's so fun.
Yeah. And do you still do the courses where you teach other people to
I
read
do.
tarot? Okay.
I just wrapped it up. I usually do it every like 9 months to a year, and the program's called Learn Tarot, and it is also really fun. And if you don't have to have any tarot experience, and by the end of the 7-week program, you are at least proficient in reading and you build that confidence. And I kind of have this hack as a way to teach people very quickly how to get up and running. So it's been a great experience too.
Yeah, that's very cool. Okay, so like I said, we're going to get into some mini readings for every zodiac sign. We're going to focus this on, I was telling Kelley before we started recording that there's such a split here. We have a lot of people who are in relationships and really wanting to focus on nurturing those relationships and bringing those relationships to the next level. And then we have a lot of listeners who are out there on the dating scene right now, which in my opinion, I think right now is the best time to be on the dating scene, the start of the year, and we want to help those people as well. So, we're going to give a reading for every zodiac sign focused on how you can really step things up in your dating life or bring your relationship to the next level. So, what are some steps you can take to make that like part of your life what you want it to be? And I'm going to guide Kelley through by giving her a list of these zodiac signs. We're going to start with Aries.
Yeah.
And for anybody who might not know, Aries is starting. Well, actually, before I get into this, I do
Sure.
want Kelley to kind of explain. We were talking a little bit about this before about how you can listen to this depending on
Yeah.
like your sun sign and moon sign and rising.
Sure. So if you're just like a newbie to astrology and you basically just know your sun sign, which is what everyone knows, like what's your sign
Yeah.
based on the day you were born, that's perfectly fine. And that's probably the primary way that I would listen to this. But if you want to get more layered advice, you can also figure out what your moon sign is. You can go to like Astro Cafe or astrology. There's all these free charts. So if you want to pull it up, you can listen to your moon sign. The only thing is, you're just going to kind of tweak how you're listening to it as if it's speaking to your emotional self, like how you experience your emotions, how you love, etc. Or you can listen to it through the theme of your rising sign. So if your sun sign is sort of your personality, your rising sign is how people see you and how you kind of show up in the world, more of your external self. And you can listen to it from that point of view, which is really interesting if you're dating. I would pay attention a little bit to both of those things because your rising sign is how the person across the table is probably experiencing you,
Mm.
especially at first. And then your moon sign is sort of like descriptive of your emotional experience and how it is that you relate to people emotionally.
That is so interesting. What are your three?
So my sun is Scorpio, my
Okay.
rising is Sagittarius, and then my moon is in Cancer. So that's pretty watery, but and deep. And Scorpio's a little dark, but I feel like the Sagittarius is like more outgoing. And I feel like that's people don't guess me that as a Scorpio often because I am so like welcoming and exuberant.
Yeah.
It's not typically the personality of a Scorpio, but like on the inside, I feel very much like a Scorpio.
That's funny because Scorpio is my moon.
Oh, interesting. So that's like
Yeah.
a really deep, deep moon.
Interesting.
Very like I mean, because water signs are very emotional. It's a very I mean, do you feel things very deeply?
I it's so hard to say. I feel like I'm a Taurus sun, a Scorpio moon, and a Capricorn rising. So in case that gives I'm
Okay.
sure you know more about me than I do now. Because I don't like understand a lot of this, but I do. I think I do, but sometimes I have to like kind of force myself to feel things like deeply, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense because a lot of the water signs, like Cancer and Scorpio, they have shells. They have that protective layer. If you think about like a scorpion
Yeah.
or a crab, and so I think that's there because like we are so sensitive, actually. So you've got to pry it open.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to be listening from all three angles now. So that's
Yes.
pretty cool. All right. Let's get started with Aries. So this is anybody who was born March 21st through April 19th.
Okay. We have a lot of earth pentacle energy for Aries. So, in order for you to really up level your love life or your sort of romantic connections, I'm seeing I can show you guys these cards: the 10 of Pentacles, the 3 of Cups, and the 8 of Cups. So, this really means to be in an abundance mindset and to really focus on what's working for you as opposed to ruminating on what's not working for you. It's also saying that you've built a very secure foundation. So if you're in a relationship, it's showing a very positive foundation. If you're single, it's showing a peer group or friends to support you. So it's okay this year to like up level might be to lean onto these
Mhm.
foundational relationships that you've been building. And then it's also showing here that there might be some emotional stagnancy or stuckness this year, either like in your relationships. And it might mean that you either need to move on. It might feel like you're on a date or you're kind of investing in someone. You're like, this isn't really going anywhere, and it's best to actually cut bait. Um, or if you're in a relationship and you're not wanting to move on, it's really having those tough conversations to say, like, we're feeling a little stuck here. Like, we're not really moving to the next level. Like, what can we do to partner? Because we have that teamwork foundational card. Like, what can we do to partner to kind of break through together?
Hmm. Okay, that's really interesting. So like leaning into where your areas you might be stuck and really like digging into it more.
Yeah, it's like, well, understanding like I don't yes, if you want to still be with that person,
Yeah.
definitely, but you might also get signs to say like, maybe this we've reached our peak and it
Mhm.
might be time to move forward. So it's kind of twofold too because the message is also saying like focus on what's working and like don't be afraid to have the conversations about what's not working to either make it work or if you're not willing to, then it's okay to let it go.
Okay. Yes. Love that. All right.
Yeah. So
Now
Taurus,
Taurus.
this is you, right?
This
Is
is
this your son
me.
you said?
This is
Okay.
April 20th through May 20th. I'm May 20th, so I'm always like thinking I'm cusp between Taurus and Gemini.
So that's a misnomer, just so that you know.
Oh,
You're definitely one or the other based
okay.
on the year you were born. Like
Oh,
sometimes like the season starts on the 19th, 20th, 21st. So I would just say like based on the year you're born, if you wanted to clarify, you could know.
okay.
Okay, this is really interesting. It's really when it comes to relationships, it's focusing on existing relationships. So for the single people out there, there might be somebody like a blast from the past,
Ooh.
or it could be like a friend of a friend or someone that's like in your periphery that becomes the person to date. For those in relationships to up level, it's saying to like really focus on the long haul of this person in your life and how you want them to be like a forever person. It's showing with this Knight of Pentacles, it might take work. Like it's actually a good year to focus on love and relationships and decide I want to get my hands dirty and really work on this. And also, I would say across the board, we have the Six of Swords here, which is try your best to avoid conflict. Like, if you're the type of person that might turn towards conflict and like rile something up or like, be critical, or like, it's actually saying like be steady, be grounded, pick your battles in order to keep moving down the field with like love and relationships.
Okay, so don't get hung up on, like, little things that you might turn into a
Mhm.
conflict and really think about the longevity of the
Yes.
relationship.
Yeah, it's really looking, especially for those in relationships, it's like you're likely in a relationship with like your long haul person. So like I think it's time to start treating it as such. Like, like how would you be investing in this relationship if you knew it was forever?
Yeah, and what conversations would you be having? Okay, I
Mhm.
love that. I'm connecting with it.
Oh, good.
And I love that for our single Taurus listeners as well, that maybe they need a friend to set them up or
Yeah, or
something
like
like
go
that.
back to the well. Like it doesn't feel like it has to be a complete stranger. So just be
Mhm.
open to like seeing people in a new way. Like I don't know if we have time to detour, but I pulled that card for myself before I met my husband.
Wow.
And I like wrote the longest list of, I'm like, every guy I know, I'm like, I'm gonna write it down. And he was in my sphere, but we were so far removed that he wasn't even on that list. You know what I mean? Because I just and then I was like, oh wait, yeah, I did know him then. So it could be like a loose tie. It doesn't have to be like a high school friend or something.
Yeah. Wait, so I feel like we did talk about this last time you came on. We might have,
Okay.
because now this is sounding familiar of this list that you made. So you pulled this card and it prompted you to make a list of people that you
Yeah,
knew?
I'm like, I was doing a love reading or something, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is someone familiar. This is someone I know. This is not going to be a stranger. And it also took the pressure off of like having to be on apps or like really trying to
Mhm.
date. And then like, so the advice for the Taurus singles would be like really change your view like of who is possible to date based on who you know, and like you might want to give someone that you know a shot even if you've friend zoned them, if they
Yeah.
have like some of the traits that you're really looking for, and then maybe don't emphasize like having to be on apps or like
And
actively dating in
swiping.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so then how did you end
Mhm.
up meeting or re-meeting your husband?
So we were in like a similar like community. Like we were like taking these self-help courses together,
Uh-huh.
etc. So it was like, but he was just like a face in the room. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it didn't I'm like I knew his name and he was like around, but he didn't draw my focus at that time.
Okay, I love that. All the Taurus listeners have to make this list now.
And the person might not even make the list, but
Yeah,
yeah, there you
exactly.
go.
It's still a good exercise.
Totally.
All right, Gemini, May 21st through June 20th.
Okay. Geminis are this year are really good partners in particular. I'm seeing the strength card. So if you're in a relationship or you're looking to be in a relationship to up level, it's like to know your worth as a partner. The strength card indicates someone that has like is not a pushover. They would have good boundaries. They would know themselves really well, but at the same time, they have this soft, compassionate heart and they're not driven by their ego. And it's saying like find balance in that aspect of yourself. And if you know your worth, then hold yourself to that standard in relationships and when you're dating, because it will actually, come back to you. Like it's like a reciprocal sort of energy. I also pulled the Tower card for my Gemini friends here. That is a card that does indicate like some massive shifts or things shifting like beyond your control. When I see this strength card, it lets me know that you can definitely persevere and handle anything that comes your way, and just look at these as opportunities to like grow and sort of like show off like your maturity, and sort of like think about it like, oh man, if this would have happened to me 2 years ago, I would have acted this way, but I can actually manage this and handle this. And that maturity will help advance your relationships and make you a really good partner when you're dating.
Oh, that is cool to see the Tower card with the Strength card. It's like a little
Mhm.
bit of that, like, assurance that it's
Yeah, like
okay
you
if
got
things.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got this for sure.
Okay, cool. All right, Cancer. Oh, wait, was that Cancer? That
No,
was
that was Gemini.
that
Yeah,
was
Cancer's
Gemini.
next. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd.
All right. Oh, I pulled the strength card again. I love that when that
Ooh.
happens, like, when I shuffle and I pull the same themes. Okay, so again, we're gonna go back to that similar message of strength so I don't have to repeat it. So,
Yeah.
you understand the themes of the strength card. But what we're seeing here, what's different is that with this Knight of Swords, our Cancer listeners have to really actively go towards what they want. This is
Mm.
like actually pursuing it. So if you want a relationship or you want your relationship to level up, it has to be a part of your mental focus and you have to take action. This is not something that's just going to organically happen. And then I would also say the same thing. I pulled the similar card about avoiding conflict for you guys too, but it's a little bit different for cancers. It's like your self criticism, the conflict
Okay.
that you have within yourself. So watch how you speak to yourself, like about like your worthiness in relationships, or your thoughts about how you see your partner. Like, we want minimal critical voices. Like, we want all of that to go away and really focus on what it is that you want in your relationship. And with the strength card again, you're an excellent partner. You're worthy of excellence in your relationships.
Yeah, I really like the message of just like actually taking action to go after the things that you want, especially combined with like the quieting the voices of the things about yourself. We got
Hmm.
when I put up a question box today for people to ask questions, which we'll get into a little bit later, but somebody did ask something like, "Oh, how do I shift my mindset from thinking that the people that I'm interested in like won't be interested in me?" And it kind of that like comes to mind when
Hmm.
you read that when you read that because I'm like, "Oh, that's the idea." It's like if you want something, stop like telling yourself you can't have it. It's like take
Hmm.
action and go after it.
For sure. For sure.
Okay, so Leo is next, and that is July 23rd through August 22nd.
All right. Okay, so this is really interesting. This is really interesting for Leos. So we have this Two of Wands, which is often like a fork in the road where you have to make a decision. And it feels like the decision has to be made about like actually wanting to commit to the traditional values, the traditional relationship, or not. And it feels like that there's some Leos that are in conventional relationships that would be better served in less conventional relationships,
Ooh.
and potentially vice versa. like some people that have like that's what I would say is like Leos need to get really clear about like if like the marriage track or like the prescribed path is for them. And if they're the hint here, because I pulled the card Nine of Swords, which was like anxiety. If you are feeling anxious or uncomfortable in the situation that you're in or in how you're dating, that's a sign to say like maybe something needs to change. Maybe my
Mm.
parameters change, the type of relationship I'm looking for changes. And it does feel like a very like sort of like this or that. Like it's like either like a conventional relationship or not, and you have to shift. So there's different Leos, with different life circumstances right now. So you might have to swap into something more open or something that actually is more conventional.
Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting for any Leo who might be listening who maybe has been like
Yeah.
having these things in the back of their mind but isn't sure about it. Maybe
Yeah.
now's the
Do I
time.
want the white picket fence or do I want a different kind of life?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd.
Oh man, I pulled the Tower card for Virgos too.
Lots
I
of
say, oh,
change this year.
yeah, I say, oh man, just because my personal relationship, like with that card, is like, okay, this is like things are coming, things are moving, and
Yeah.
you don't always know. But I will say to put your mind at ease, I believe I pulled the Tower card for the collective. Like there is a lot of like structural things that are changing in the world and in our country, etc. So we'll start out with the Tower card message for our Leo friends, which is like be alert for these some sudden changes that might feel out of the ordinary or out of your control. This is for the purpose of getting you to shift or budge when you may have been stubborn against it. And you've had the quiet nudges, and now the universe is like, let's go. What's on the other side of this, and I wish I could read it more about relationships, but this is actually feeling more about like well being,
Oh.
wealth, like, so I'm wondering like on the other side of this shift is sort of like abundance, prosperity, health, well-being, not feeling so drained or so tired. So I would say like maybe it's not the year to hyper focus on relationships. Like you can be in one and maybe coast a little bit, or if you're not really feeling that amped up to date, so that you can actually reinvest and take advantage of these shifts and changes for yourself and like recalibrate your prosperity and well-being.
So that's interesting because I always say on here that all of these things are so connected. So since we're coming at this from the lens of like, how do you up level your dating life or bring things to the next level in your relationship and move things forward, like maybe for this is Virgo, I guess, maybe
Virgo.
for them, they have to focus on these other areas in order for like down the road,
Yeah.
the relationships and dating and those things to really prosper, which like makes total sense.
And especially if there's like a big shift coming, especially if you're newly dating, if you're having some big shifts coming, like you want to kind of get on the other side of that
Mm,
so that you can understand who you are now, after some of these changes.
yeah.
Especially after you're like feeling more prosperous and have
Yeah.
better like energy and well-being, you will probably attract a higher caliber person at that point too.
Yeah, you don't even want the person you're gonna attract now, you want them after this big change.
Yeah, after your glow up.
Okay, Libra, September 23rd through October 22nd.
All right, Libra. So, I mean, if you're single, I don't think you're going to be single by the end of this year.
Ooh.
For our Libras, we're seeing the King of Cups, which is like a very mature, emotionally advanced sort of male energy coming through. So I think, and next to the Ace of Pentacles, which is like planting seeds and watching things grow. So if you were single, I feels like look for, and like I said, a water sign or emotionally mature, grown ass man. This is
Mm.
like grown ass person to come through the door. And then if you are in a relationship, it's saying to like really step into your emotional maturity, your sense of stability in that area. It's also showing that you might be challenged a little bit. The way that you're going to up level your relationships this year is to like face some of these more hidden or like subconscious fears might come to the surface this year for you to like kind of excavate. And it's showing
Mm,
here that by facing that with emotional maturity and depth, then you actually grow personally, and then that grows your relationships.
okay. Ooh, I really like that one for Libra. That was a good
Hmm.
one for both single and in relationship Libras.
Yes, yes, yes.
Scorpio, this is you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, this is me.
Okay.
I always get a little nervous. Oh, man. All right. So this is really interesting too, because I pulled the Two of Wands again for Scorpios, which is that fork in the road. And the
Mm,
fork in the road is between, this is so interesting, like choosing to lean into suspicion and not trusting versus your peace of mind, like your sense of inner peace. And so the way that you're going to up level your relationships across the board is by leaning into your peace, not being so suspicious, not like
mm,
not being like having like this trust. A lot of us Scorpios like maybe have lack of trust, and that's sort of like protecting your peace by just choosing to trust, and then knowing like if someone's not great or whatever, you have the mental fortitude to handle it. It's not like
yeah,
you have to be guarded or not be vulnerable because you're afraid to be hurt. Like you've got yourself, and it's showing like this lack of trust is really impacting your own inner peace and well-being. It was also funny as like I did something similar um earlier this year, and I pulled the same Seven of Swords for Scorpio in another group reading. So this really is a
wow.
theme for Scorpios this year, like trust, suspicion, like just we have some trust issues. And that's really going to lift up your elevate all of your relationships, not just romantic relationships.
Yeah. Would that also pertain to like trusting yourself and trusting your gut and your instincts and things like that?
Yeah, it could, but it could, but it does feel like to me, because we're talking about relationships and like
Mhm.
interpersonal relationships and just knowing like living this long as a Scorpio.
Yeah.
This feels like this year is trusting others. Like
Uh-huh.
just like giving people more the benefit of the doubt and like knowing that no matter what, they can't really hurt you.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. All
Yeah,
right.
it is
Okay,
interesting.
I'm just gonna take a quick break to tell you a little bit more about our sponsor, First Rounds on Me. So, we all know the struggle that comes along with using dating apps, waiting for their reply, spending too much time texting, and then never going out in real life. First Rounds on Me changes the game by making the transition from online chat to in person meetup as easy and as smooth as possible. So, there's no endless back and forth. The app only gives you 24 hours to chat, so you'll know right away if there's a spark and if you're going to meet up. And there's no need to plan the perfect date or have endless discussions. First Rounds on Me actually has a built in planner that makes it easy to set things up and really enjoy the moment. And it's all about quality, not quantity. So I don't believe that dating is a numbers game. It's about being intentional. On First Rounds on Me, you only get one match per day, so you can have a focused and intentional approach to dating. No more endless scrolling, just real connections. First Rounds on Me takes the pressure off dating. Head to the link in the show notes and you can get your first month for free with the code Mostly Dating.
Ding.
We have a few left here. Sagittarius, which
Yeah,
is
let's talk
November
Sag.
22nd through December 21st.
Okay. This is so interesting. The way that our Sag friends can uplevel their relationships this year is through grief, mourning, emotional release. It's showing like
Oh.
that's sort of holding you back,
Mm.
like this heaviness that maybe you haven't fully expressed. And it's saying to get support in that process through either it's a good year for therapy, it's a good year for coaches, or coming up with habits, rituals, routines for yourself that give you space for your emotional process. And then it shows on the other side of that, it shows a lot of movement, spiritual awakening, just like a whole refresh and reset. So feel your feelings, process your negative emotions, like get support if you need to so that you up level all of your relationships.
Okay, love that. I feel like everyone's getting all the tools they need to head into 2025. All right, Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th.
All right, Capricorns. I hope I don't. Yeah, I always pull all pentacles for Capricorns because they are like, I have all pentacles again. They're earth signs. It's like very hard to get Capricorns to focus on like their soft, squishy,
Uh-huh.
emotional side. So, I mean, I'm trying to read this for relationships, but it's all work like Capricorns. It's saying just like be good to like, okay, we'll talk about it from a relationship standpoint. Page of Pentacles, plant seeds for relationships for yourself into the future. And it's showing like um again, we pulled that Three of Pentacles, so there's like a team and there's support there for you, and it's continuing to nourish those relationships and to find balance between like your career focus, your
Uh-huh.
ambition, and the people in your life. And it's showing that there's new people coming in this year and you don't want to be too busy, like you want to actually be able to like invest. And I would also say with your dating in particular, there might be like a long game, like a payoff like into the future. This doesn't have to be immediate
Mm.
gratification. I want you to plant the seeds, tend to the garden, and see what grows. And that same thing, if you're in a relationship, we want you to make sure that there's like a balance where you are tending the relationship that you have. But I would also create other relationships and doesn't not obviously not romantic ones, but like friendships, new work friends. It's good for you to have more people in your life.
Yeah. Wait, is Capricorn usually like a very hard, you said like a hard shell type of person?
It's like they're really just like really career oriented,
Okay.
ambitious, resilient. Like they're just the best people when it comes to like business and financial success,
Yeah.
and it really inspires them. It's not like greedy or anything. It's just like what revs them up. And so oftentimes it's tricky to like get them to focus on love and relationships
Yeah.
because they're like building empires.
Yeah, I'm thinking of everyone who's listening who might be dating a Capricorn. Maybe they're relating to this.
Yeah, that's good to know about your
Mhm.
partners too. Yeah, it's good to know.
Okay, Aquarius, January 20th through February 18th.
Okay, Aquarius, what do we got here? All right. This is the year to leave any sort of heartbreak behind. And it's showing me that, like, even these stories are old, even heartbreak within your current relationship. You know how we, damage each other unintentionally over
Yeah.
time? It's really time to let it go and to step into your personal power. It does feel sort of similar to the Scorpio energy of like, just like not. like people can't hurt you. Like you have resiliency, you have tools, you know yourself. And so it's time to let those stories go because it's actually weighing you down and keeping you from deeper intimacy with your partner and with other people. And then if you cannot like let go of some of these old stories, it's saying just give to other people. Just like get out of your own head, like be generous, do something like where you're taking care of someone else or donating your time or whatever, because it's showing like we need to divert any of these like sort of old heartbreak and betrayal stories.
Okay, I love that. Last one here, we have Pisces.
Ooh,
This
Pisces.
is
All right.
February 19th through March 20th. And all these
Yes.
dates I feel like might be a little different. I'm just reading them
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah. Pisces. Let's see what we got. Wow. Okay. I pulled similar cards. This is really interesting. This is I'm just going to say first thought, best thought, 'cause this is what's coming up. The way to advance your romantic relationships, Pisces, this year is to confront any sort of hard feelings, disappointments that you've had,
Mm.
showing specifically with mom from
Ooh.
childhood. I mean, we're getting very specific. And so there's like this sort of like this wounded inner child energy that's coming up that might be playing a part, like your wounded inner child might be showing up in your relationships when you're getting triggered on dates, etc. And if you can just sort of like repair and reparent yourself where you become your own inner mother and kind of let go some of those disappointments or heartbreaks, you're going to have your most mature self, steering these relationships, which by a byproduct would be elevating these relationships and making them more meaningful and taking them to the next level. So I think that there's some work there to be done.
I love how specific that is.
I got really specific. I got really specific. You can still love mom very much and like on the low, like work through some of the ways where she tried her best and like didn't meet your all of your needs as a kid.
Yeah. No, definitely. Okay, that was amazing. I feel like I wanna start every year with your tarot
Yeah,
scopes. They're so
let's make it a
fun.
thing. It's so fun. Thank you for asking and
Of course,
listening
and
in.
we're gonna get into a couple listener questions,
Yeah,
but
let's do it.
you do something similar on your Instagram as well too, right?
Yeah, so every month I do a tarot scope for the month and I do
Okay.
forecasts like this. They're like more general. So I'll do like I'll just go through all the zodiac signs and give like a couple minutes. And it's one of my most popular pieces of content that people really enjoy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm gonna put your Instagram in the show notes so everybody can go and
Thanks.
follow and find that. All right, we're gonna dive into some questions.
Ooh,
First
I
of all,
love
thank you
it.
guys. Sorry, what'd you say?
Love it. I'm like so excited for these
I'm
questions.
really excited too. Everybody sent in like so many people sent in questions and they were all great. We picked 5 kind of randomly and also just based on what we think a lot of people will relate to. So I might throw in my own question at the end too if
Okay,
we have time.
sure.
All right, so we're gonna start with this one. This person and also some people gave their name. I don't know if that will like help you tap in a little bit, but
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
okay. So this person says, I'm 35 and still feel like I'm not fully settled in my life, parentheses, career, living situation. I'm having a hard time focusing on dating or putting effort into that area. I've been single for so long that it feels like I'm just doing what I'm used to, but I'm so ready for a partnership. What are my mental hurdles and is there a way I can combat them? Or just in general, how can I reinvigorate my zest for getting back out there and dating? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I like that too.
Okay, so I'm just pulling just a check in with her, and then let's see the next steps. So I think, okay, this is great. We've got this is a great question. I got a great answer. Yes, I just want to confirm you are 100% ready for a soulmate kind of love,
Mm.
where you guys have aligned values and that you're going to have an impact in the world and a legacy and all of that. So I just want to validate. 'Cause she said, "I'm so ready." I think there's a few things happening here. Number one, it's showing like you've kind of forgotten who you are. Like you've forgotten how powerful you are, how you can actually have all the tools that you need to manifest and create what you want in your life. And it's showing here, I see a card of heartbreak, exhaustion, like lost love from like a really good potential partner. And I'm wondering if those sort of instances have sort of dulled your shine or like, kind of
Mm.
your your confidence back a little bit. But you're showing up here as like a highly charismatic, capable woman who has what she needs to get what she wants. And I think that that's the thing. It's like reminding yourself who you are. And the simple practice that I have my clients do all the time is making it a daily practice to sit quietly and feel yourself as the future self with the partner, with the life you want, and envision it and feel that energy in your body and try to hold on to that as much as you can throughout the day. And then when you notice yourself organically feeling that way, I always say, to say out loud, more please, more of this,
Ooh.
powerful, more feeling love. Um, because she's got everything that she needs. And I'm trying to think if there's like another. Oh, and then another practice that you could do if the first one doesn't resonate, and this is for all of you, if you find yourself in a similar situation, is to like write down what it is that you want. So in this case, it's a partner, and then kind of dive deeper. Like, what do you actually want underneath the partner? Like, what is the
Yeah.
desire? What do you need being met? Like, what are you truly seeking? And then your job is to write all the ways that it already exists and all the ways that you experience it on a daily basis, and to make it a practice to like sit in that energy and sit in that acknowledgement, because from that place you become an energetic match for the expression of that feeling and that life in a bigger way. But I promise you, you already have it in micro ways.
Yeah. Those types of exercises are like my jam. I love those things. So that is so cool. Especially the first one that you said, I feel like that's something you can do even if you're in a relationship. Like if there are things
Yes,
you want to happen in your relationship, like really try to embody that and like feel the way you want to feel. I think that's so
yeah.
helpful even if you just do it for like a minute in the morning before you get up.
Totally. And then with the longer you can carry it with you, I mean, the next like level of that is making decisions as that person.
Yeah.
Like what would that person do that has the thing that I want? And that's the hardest part, because a lot of times we can visualize it, but it's also like aligned actions too. So
Mhm.
it's like, I feel like taking a nap right now, but like my highest self or the highest version of me might choose to go for a walk and see if I can get more pep in my step or something,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
example.
And then the second exercise that you said, it reminded me when I was very adamant about manifesting a partner. And like, I really connect with this person's question because I was also single for so long. And I did feel like I was just kind of like doing what I was used to, but I felt like very ready. And I
Mhm.
made sort of like a list of the things that I wanted in somebody, which like, it's not an original thing I did. A lot of people do this. But when I looked at the list, I really started thinking about like, the qualities I wanted and the way I wanted to feel and the things I wanted to do with the partner. And then I looked at my life and I'm like, wait, but I'm not really doing any of these things yet. So like, why would I attract somebody who has all
Yeah,
those things when I'm not like, so I like that exercise you said, because it's like, you can really start to embody it and then you'll bring that energy in.
totally. Because the person that you want will not even see you. Like
Yeah.
if you're not exhibiting or like emanating certain traits yourself. And then to
Yeah.
recognize where it is, where it already exists is really huge, because you've got to like cultivate that in the energetic space or like in your emotional space before it really manifests bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And this person,
awesome.
so she started her question saying she's not fully settled in her life with her career and her living situation. So based on the cards you pulled, do you think that that's some like that feeling is something that could be holding her back?
I think that it's the the lack of confidence that she
Mm,
makes, like based on a story around those things.
right.
Like you could have the story that like I'm unsettled, things are in flux, or you could have the story as like I'm in an exciting new transition, like who knows what's coming next. So I think it's also like how we frame the stories, or how we make our what we make our circumstances mean. And like,
Yeah.
so I would say, like, how do you author the story in a way that is more like uplifting for you? Because like,
Mhm.
she's a really good creator. So I would even say, like, these same tools can be used to redesign your life at large.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really good reading. This next question is very direct. She
Okay.
says, "My girlfriend is still best friends with her ex-girlfriend. They have a lot of common interests and talk almost every day, but she says there's nothing romantic between them and I have nothing to be concerned about. But should I be worried?"
Ooh. Let's see. No, you shouldn't be worried.
Ooh.
What they like about each other and what they're getting out of it with this Page of Wands is like they're like playmates almost. Like it's like
Mm,
fun, adventure, spontaneity, like and it's showing like there's not like a real maturity there. So to me that means there's not like a real depth, like in the
mhm,
connection. It's more like fun and free spirited. Your partner shows up as the Temperance card. So to me this is someone that's like honest, pure, like really telling you the truth. And then I think that the relationship is lasting because the ex partner, I think, really does need support. It's showing like this is someone that
mm,
actually really does need her friendship. So, because it's showing like either, I don't know, like a physical ailment, like just being in
okay,
a rough space, like a rough season of life. And so
yeah,
if it doesn't bother you too much, I think she's really bringing like healing to this person. And maybe you can think about it that way. Like, okay, I'm going to like step out of my own way here and trust that like she's actually doing an act of charity almost in a weird
mm,
way by being there for this person.
okay. I like that. I like the straightforward answer for the straightforward
Yeah.
question. All right, this one's a little bit longer. This
Okay.
person says, I've been dating a guy 10 years younger than me. He's recently divorced and ended a 10-year relationship a little over a year ago. When we first started dating, we both said we weren't sure what we were looking for in a relationship, but now it's been 5 months of seeing each other weekly. My question is about our future. Are we on the right track? When is a good time to discuss our relationship goals?
Ooh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to check in on the relationship first. And then a good time. Let's see. Next. Okay, so I would say in the next 90 days, and we can, yeah, I think in the next 90 days would be a good time to talk about more like relationship goals and more long term. And by having that conversation, it's showing that you guys do grow closer. And it's a
Mm,
real vulnerable conversation to have, but I think that it's worthwhile. I would say, like, the partner is showing up as needing to increase his capacity to receive love. It's showing and or her love language or how she demonstrates love is not like matching right now, so he's not really
mm,
absorbing it fully. But it's showing here, just like as my general check-in, there's a real clarity to the relationship. Everyone's honest, everyone's actually being very direct, so it feels like you can be having these conversations between now and like 90 days from now. And it's showing that the whoever wrote in is really not anxious but interested in planting these seeds, like and wanting to sow into the future. So I think if you're clear about that, this will only make you guys grow closer. But as part of that conversation and goals, I would ask, like, how do you like to be loved? Like, is there any feedback for me? Like, because uh, I feel like he might still be a little closed off either from his past or just like getting on board with how it is that you guys, care for each other.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. This next one. All right. This woman asks, why haven't I manifested any of my dreams? Why do I feel
Mm.
so unhappy slash anxious? Will I ever accomplish my dream of living in New York City? Why do I feel so attached to that city?
Oh, interesting. That's a lot of questions.
A lot of questions. I think let's focus on this attachment to New York City and will she
Okay.
end up living here?
Okay. Okay. Let's just see. We'll do two questions. How about this? Why hasn't she manifested her dreams? And then we'll do the New York City one. Why? Okay.
Okay.
Why hasn't she manifested her dreams? Let's see what's going on. And then let's see, like New York City. Okay. So why she hasn't manifested her dreams is that as much as I would say it's risk aversion. Like I just feel like she's been playing it a little bit safe, and although she has these lofty dreams and ideas, it's like taking that leap and actually choosing to make the move. And you might have
Mm,
to make the move before all the pieces are lined up. So it feels like she's got okay, another reason why also it's showing with this 3 of cups, it's also showing a lot of like friendships and relationships maybe where she is currently, and I'm wondering if there's a fear of like a void of these emotional connections if she were to pick up and move to New York City. So I would
mm,
say like figure out a strategy for you feeling safe to have a community as a step, and then just like taking the move. As far as like why she's so drawn to this idea of New York City. It's showing it's actually good for her self-esteem. Like she'll feel
Ooh.
good about herself. I When I lived in New York, I always had a joke that I was like, people that live in New York and LA just feel like they're organically like 10% better than everyone else. I don't know, like I always it's like this little boost of like self-esteem. It's like I live
Yeah.
in New York. So there's that. It's showing it's actually a really good place for her inner child where she can feel free and spontaneous and like have a lot of fun. And it's also showing New York has a weird way of being a healing place for her, which is interesting because it's like so loud and bustling. But when I lived there my first time, it was a huge cocoon for healing for me, and it expedited that healing being in a fast paced current. So I think your desire to be there is pure, and I think you just have to like do it. I think you have to
Mm,
do it. And I think you have to figure out how you can stay connected emotionally to the people that you care about when you move and set up a plan for yourself of having connection so you're not lonely.
okay. I love this. Moving to New York City, I'm all for it.
Yeah, do it.
All right, this last one is a little bit longer, but they did also
Okay.
give us a TLDR, so I'll wrap up with that. But so they say, recently gone on 2 dates from a dating app. Originally, the context was exploring a casual relationship, but after the first date, I felt like there was great relationship potential. We had a second date a couple days later that was at a nice restaurant and then went to an arcade after, which was really great. After I introduced the idea of exploring more than just a casual relationship, to which they agreed. At this point, we have another activity date this week and are planning an overnight trip to a nearby city to get some alone time. My concern is that we're moving a bit fast, spurred by an upcoming 10-day international trip of mine. I worry that they may lose interest while I'm away. TLDR, how to slow down when we're both excited to see each other.
I don't think you slow down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's showing like with this Knight of Wands, it's like there's an organic momentum that is happening because there's like a passion. And so it's showing like I feel like slowing down is sort of working against just the natural momentum that you guys create together, just being together.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any sort of like backing off from this person, and it's showing you are so ready to start like a real relationship and have this whole new chapter for yourself. So I think you're making up a little bit of stories about
Mm,
like 10 days he'll lose interest. That's organically gonna pump the brakes a little bit, so just maybe look for the natural pauses and
yeah.
hear them, and consider them like ways to naturally like have a slower pace. But I think, I mean, it feels like this is has a life of its own kind of already.
Okay, I love this. I agree. I think like the natural pauses totally that's such good advice and I'm glad that that really like came up in the cards and like I think maybe because this person they both went into it thinking that they wanted something casual, then so now she feels like she has to pull back, but if you're feeling it and the cards are saying it, I think go for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of passion and momentum that's happening. So I don't know, I would just like ride the wave.
Yeah. All right, amazing. Thank you so much. I feel like you just really came at us with so much information.
Oh, good. Did you have your question or was that your
Oh,
secret
yes.
question?
Okay, I did I forgot I did have a question. I
Okay.
more so wanted I feel like I have a feeling this year is like a very expansive year for me. I feel like I might seek some
Mm.
career changes and maybe some up-leveling in my relationship potentially. And so I'd love to see just like if maybe if you just pull a couple cards and see if
Yeah,
there's
let's just see what
something.
the year's got in store for you. 2, 3. Well, it's definitely expansive with career and money. So are you
Amazing.
looking to like I mean, guess like up level career? Like, is
Yes.
that a main focus? Yeah. So I really want to focus on encouraging you to do that and to like not sell yourself short whatsoever. Like, you're looking towards like 10 out of 10 when it comes to money, like the most
Amazing.
income and prosperity. And it's also saying that it's actually a soul's desire. This is not just like you
Ooh.
wanting money for money's sake. It's showing like you like this is an alignment for your spirit to be sort of like in that energetic exchange of money. It's also showing like generational wealth, family, r- like I'm seeing like family with like maybe you and your partner and then like your parents and their parents, like lots of family. And so I don't know if you guys are thinking about like taking it to the next level or talking about family or growing a family, but that's also feels like it could be possible for you if that's what you want. The a little thing that I would work on always is like, again, like that whole inner child work kind of theme came up for you too. So as we step towards something big, it's showing that you might have a default of like contracting a little bit or like
Yeah.
pulling back a little bit, and it's because like the little girl self in you is like a little bit scared, like scared of what's new, what's unfamiliar or whatever. So just to like reinforce that like you're safe, I've got you, like, because sometimes expansion and change is like very scary to our like less mature sides of ourselves, because when the changes happened when we were kids, we weren't in control of it. So
Hmm.
now the difference is you've got to remind yourself, like, I'm making choices, I'm in control, like this is a measured, specific way to grow. I'm sorry I didn't talk much about your relationship, but yeah,
No,
not necessarily.
I like to see what comes up.
Yeah, so do you want me to pull more about relationships specifically, or do you feel like that's good?
No, I feel like that's good.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear about your all your career success, because it's ready. You're ready.
I feel like we need to just put a date on the calendar for next January and just check
Yes,
back in on
yes,
everything.
yes. You'll be like, I'm rich now. I don't even have to work.
Well, thank you so much. Can you remind everybody listening where they can find you?
Sure. So to find me, it's Kelley, Kelley, Knight.me, M-E. And you can book a reading and, see what offers I have. And then regarding Modern Mystic Shop, which is my retail brand, that's very amazing. It's modernmysticshop.com. And you can also buy my book, Spells for the Modern Mystic, through our website. And we'd appreciate your support. And then if you're also like, don't want to be on my wait list and are discouraged, if you go to Modern Mystic Shop and book a reading, I have a lot of highly
Mhm.
experienced, very talented readers who work with me, and they're available like right now. So I would recommend them too. They're are as good as me, if not better. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you again. It was so great having you back on.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was lovely to see you again.